about Prosser making the team a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Seeing that he made the team, really happy. But hearing your
so was my mother. She just texted me. She just texted me from I think she's in Prague right now, and it just says Prosser ? And I just wrote her back. I'm like, do you not read my Twitter account? So.
That's what you should do when you're vacationing in Prague, is read Michael Russo's Twitter feed.
So then, hearing your comment earlier about how a lot of the one-way contracts are the reason why players won't make the team, then why did Prosser beat out Olofsson then at the end? Because Prosser does have a two-way contract, right?
Yeah. I mean, well, Olofsson, to me, the Olofsson thing was definitely going to happen. I mean, that poor kid had a tough go, dislocated his shoulder, and missed all of camp. And, to me, that wasn't the shocker. But at the end, it became very close between Murphy and Prosser. Now, they're both on two-way contracts, almost identical contracts, actually. But Olofsson is just in a different boat with the whole one-way there. Like, they just couldn't. They are in a cap space situation where to just waste him on an eighth D and to have an eighth spot for a guy like him and waste cap space just made no sense. And the other thing is that if they're going to up his value, I mean, I was shocked. Bruce actually said it today. He goes, he basically said, if we're going to up his value on the trading block, and his agent's trying to get him traded out of here. He's got to play, and this guy barely played last year, and he barely played 2 years ago. So it's the only way to ever be able to get rid of this guy in a trade. And they're not trying to get even more than a seventh. They might be they'd trade him for futures just to give him a fresh start elsewhere. But is to get him down to the minors and play. So that wasn't the big thing. But I will say at the end, Prosser versus Murphy was a very real debate inside the organization. And this, every time I talk about it like this, it makes it sound like Murphy's a bad guy and all, and he's not. He is the one thing about Murphy, he's liked on the team as well. But I do think that at the end of the day, they just figured, all right, Prosser's not even. He is starting as the seventh D right now, but he is so loved in that locker room that is it worth for a guy that's not even going to play on Thursday to sit there and start the season off in a bad boat with this roster, with the personalities in this locker room, by taking a guy that they absolutely love and respect and just say you're off the team? Like, it's almost like picking a fight for no reason. So since he's not playing at all, keep Prosser here. Murphy's getting through waivers. I mean, that was just obvious. So get him down there. And then now all of a sudden, if Dumbo or Spurgeon get hurt at some point here in the early going, you can almost guarantee that Murphy will be brought up and played. But to me, it was just one of those obvious decisions that they just needed to make this move. So that was kind of my opinion on that.
And then also the one preseason game that I made it out to this year at home.
It wasn't the Dallas game.
Was it the Dallas game?
That was the bad game.
Yeah, it was a bad game. But watching Kyle Rao play, dude's got a lot of energy.
Yeah,
he reminds me a lot of Cal Clutterbuck.
Mm-hmm.
He's small, but he's going to go launch people on the boards.
Clutter was a different animal, though.
Yeah,
I mean, that guy.
He's insane.
He got 300 hits a year.
Yeah. What do you think his chances of getting called up are? Or, where is he in the order of
Depends on the role. If you need a top 6 or 9 role, I mean, Reed's probably going to be in that camp. It makes more sense to me there. If you need a fourth-line role, he's the guy there. I think he's number 1, 2 on the totem pole, and it will be based on that and how they're playing and health down there. He could play in multiple wing positions and things like that. I like Kyle, but he is probably he's an in-betweener. He's one of those guys. I don't think he'll ever be a regular in the NHL, but there are just certain guys that are that way. It's a shame. I like Rao. I covered him in college. Great kid. But he's just probably, kind of in between. If he was a little faster and had a couple more inches, he'd probably be a full-time NHLer, but he's just not that right now.
And then this question just came to me right now. It was a couple of years ago I got to go to the Stadium Series game that we had. What is the league's vendetta against Minnesota? The atmosphere there and everything. The alumni game was great. The game itself was fantastic, aside from the hit that had Zucker carted off the ice. But
I don't even remember that.
What is it going to take to? Oh, I remember it because there was a very obnoxious Blackhawks fan behind me that was saying that he was being carted off the ice in a body bag, and my very quiet friend, I thought was going to snap on him. So it was.
The only thing I remember, didn't Ryan Carter score the first goal that game or something? I think
I'm pretty sure he did.
But I mean, I don't think it's so much the league as I just think NBC makes these decisions on how much. They got to sell. They want to make. Not only do they want to sell advertising. I mean, this is a big draw for them to make a big bucks in advertising. And they feel that nationally the Wild don't sell. Now, locally they do. Locally, the Wild's ratings are sensational, and that's why they steal the Max games from the Wild every single year. Steal's the wrong verb. But nationally, if you're Minnesota, I mean, we're seeing it even with the editor. I mean, I think the perception out there is the Wild just have this vanilla team. And you can't, it's even though it's the same teams every single year, advertisers don't get enthused by, all right, hey, the Minnesota Wild are going to be on the in the Winter Classic. Where, I think it's ridiculous. I agree with you. I think that the fans here deserve a Winter Classic, but that's the way it is right now.
Thanks for being here again. We appreciate it. Let's do a few more Twitter questions. I do have a bunch of business.
You know what we haven't talked about is the goal song being changed.
I was about to bring that up. Yeah. Let me mention we have a bunch of business cards with the promo code from Bite Squad on them. If you need a reminder or you want to hand them out to your businesses or your friends, whatever, we could use the help. I was going to ask you why you hate Prince.
I do.
He's on the record. He hates Prince.
The worst goal song in the league. I mean, honestly.
Vicky's yelling at you now. I mean, Vicky's not happy with this.
It's a horrific goal song. Like a crowd chant, a lot of fans don't like that, but at least they're clapping with it and doing the stupid rah. I mean, the whole Prince is just it's brutal. It was not a good goal song. They'll play Prince during the games. My God.
Michael's getting booed in his own show. I like this. We need more of this.
A show of hands.
Oh, we're going to go democracy on it.
Do you think it's good? Don't even think about the two songs that might be the next goal song. Do you think it's good? Do you think it's good that they're changing "Let's Go Crazy" from the goal song? Wow, I'm shocked. Not all as many as I thought. John,
about half and half.
Chris, you're not a fan of it, right?
Did you see all the likes I got on my response to you?
Did you see all my things that all said that they were all excited? Chris, what was the question that you asked me last week that just threw me for a loop? I can't remember. Oh, it was the thing about politics. Good question.
Did anybody answer your question about how you injured your finger?
No.
You want to elaborate on that?
Well, it's funny. Who was I telling the other day? I'm wondering if it was for you. I wonder if it was Dominic. I was telling somebody the other day. Who was I telling? I was telling it was when I was on that the flow, and I was telling those guys how when you're old, because they kept on calling me a baby boomer, these bastards that you have on your podcast network. So these guys, they kept on calling me old. So I told them, like, first of all, like, I will admit that, like, yes, I'm older than you. And when you will, and I was telling these guys, they're all excited, they're telling me all about their, like, wild days as young, and I'm like, there will come a point where you will not feel good anymore, that getting out of bed will be a struggle, that you'll get hurt walking off a curb. Things hurt.
Yeah, but see, older. I think these things happened to you when you were 21.
Yeah, that's probably true. But, yes, I injured my finger yesterday putting on a sock. So, yes.
Putting on a sock.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. You're saving this, right, Brandon? We're clipping this?
And that's
put this to good use.
That's like my hunt and peck middle finger, too.
And now you're going to go down to the locker room and you tell these guys, how can you not play through a broken fibula?
Exactly. So.
On a sock.
It was a tight sock.
Good question, by the way,
Got
Chris.
Trapped.
That was the highlight of the show. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was perfect.
I offered somebody a free dinner if they figured it out.
That is fantastic. Who would want to figure that out?
Just saying. It was pretty. To me, it was obvious that it was not. Especially when I said how I hurt my right middle finger. It was obvious. It was not going to be something as obvious as me flipping off a biker on the Stone Arch Bridge
on a sock.
Although that's happened a couple times.
From Sam Randall on Twitter, what's your take on the Nylander contract situation in Toronto? Would he be a potential trade target for the Wild or anybody else?
I'd take him, but man, I mean, the Wild would have to give up dollar for dollar. I mean, he wants big money right now, and so you'd have to trade, a couple big money guys. And right now, when you look at the Wild and you look at their big money guys, I mean, they've committed now to Zucker, they've committed to Dumba. I don't think they would like to get rid of Granny, so. The guys would be Coyle, Nino, Brodin, probably next up on the trade rumor, Afan.
Interesting. From Wallace on Twitter, Wallace Iceberg, what is Nick Seeler's ceiling?
I'm going to write about him Thursday. A ceiling I don't know, but I just think that he's a heck of a defenseman. He's had a heck of a camp. I'm finally writing that story. I think I've told this a couple times now that I sat down now 2 or 3 weeks ago with Nick and his dad, but we've just kind of held the story at The Athletic just for more eyes on the Wild, now that everybody's getting, excited that they're opening the season. But I just think it's an awesome story that here's a guy that in an organization where it's very hard for a lefty to hop up the depth chart behind Suter and Brodin, here's somebody that just catapulted from being a low man on the depth chart to now being, to the point that he essentially excelled or parachuted above, guys like Olofsson, Susie, Riley, people like that.
From Kyle on Twitter, any recommendations for a name for the coming Seattle team, and who should the Wild expose? We have our first expansion draft question for Seattle. I'm fired up.
Who should they expose?
Way ahead of the curve.
Expose. Well, we have to think in a couple years who's going to be on their team. Obviously, it can't be Parise or Suter. Koivu will be going into his UFA year, so it can't be him. So, again, we're going to have the same guys. It's going to be Greenway will need to be would need to be exposed. Eriksson Ek, Zucker, Granlund, Dumb, all those guys would have to be in that situation. So that'll be interesting.
From Jake Walker, I'm starting to lay the groundwork for a sort of hockey pilgrimage from Atlanta to the Twin Cities. I'm probably coming sometime next NHL season to see this show at Delano's Pizza. What else should I do? Tell you what, email us. We will give you a bunch of recommendations, but we'd love to see you out at Delano's. That would be a blast. From BSteph12 on Twitter, any chance the Wild put in claims on the 2 goalies claimed on waivers today? Why not?
Well, they were picked up on waivers, so you can't claim them. They were both picked up, and why would the Wild do that? They have Stalock and Dubnyk.
And another person who's right on point here, Jacob Burkhart, who do the Wild lose in the Seattle expansion draft? I love the fact that hockey fans think that far ahead.
Or what prospect do they throw in to not take Dumba?
Let's do one more Twitter question. I do want to thank our sponsors one more time. Delano's Pizza, downtown Minneapolis, right by Ramp C, also in Woodbury. Bite Squad, bitesquad.com, or use the Bite Squad app. The promo code is TalkNorth, one word, for a free first delivery. We would really love people to take advantage of that and to order Delano's through Bite Squad if you can. Thanks to Twill in the Edina Galleria, WizKids.tech in downtown Minneapolis, Fixology Repair, 3rd floor of the Mall of America, and downtown in the Skyway, and Tony Hoagland, your State Farm agent, who works out of Champlin, but he can work with you wherever you happen to be. Let me make sure this is a good one here. From Luke Reachins, longtime listener, do you expect the Wild to have a better season than they did last season?
Last year they had 101 points. I would pick the under. Again, if they make the playoffs, I just don't see them being above Winnipeg or Nashville, and so now you got St. Louis, Colorado, Dallas, Chicago. You know what a game changer in this division is if Crawford's suddenly back. That would change, potentially things for Chicago. But 101 points, I think a lot of things had to go right for the Wild to get that many last year. So
I thought Bruce did a great job.
Yeah, I did too. They were decimated by injury from start to finish. So.
All right, we will go to Michael Russo for a final thought, because he never comes up with
anybody have any other questions?
Okay, yeah. Vicky's got a question.
Yeah, you're at you went over your allotment.
Oh, wow. She already booed you. Now she's going to smack you. Go ahead, Vicky. I give you permission.
How many? How come you don't eat the oranges in your Blue Moon? That's the best part. Yeah, but then you eat it after. That's the best part of the Blue Moon. Wow, what is with your
He's such
taste?
a know-it-all.
Let's go crazy.
He's the world's biggest know-it-all.
Yeah.
You bring him vegetables, he criticizes your fruit.
Yeah. So what's your question?
How did you rate the Wild for the Athletic?
That's what. And that thing. I put them in my top. Well, if you're asking if they were in the top 6, I think I put them like 12th or 11th. Yeah.